With this NCAA basketball season coming to a close, one of the biggest stories in the offseason is starting to make more waves in the news again. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it has to do with the Pac-12 and the pending realignment when two of its most storied colleges ship off to go play in the Big Ten for the 2024 season. But what does this even mean for the rest of the Pac? How will they even survive without two of their biggest schools? Well, let me explain to you who might take their place and what implications it could have on the next college basketball season. Yo, what's up everybody? It's your boy 2KJ, and today I want to talk a bit about not only the future of the Pac-12, but the NCAA as a whole. With a couple of conferences losing and adding teams, the implications of these realignments could be crazy for the next college basketball season. If you like the content, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell, and let's get it. For those who don't know, the NCAA landscape is going to have some major changes coming in the next year. The first domino falling July 1st, 2024. This is when the Texas Longhorns and Oklahoma Sooners officially move over to the SEC, which will be a major difference rivalry-wise for all those sports and a pretty big difference culture-wise as well, as the atmosphere in the SEC is a lot different. The next major realignment also takes place that year, with UCLA and USC both shipping off across the country to the Big Ten in a very odd move in my opinion, and also a pretty big culture shock. But when you realize that both of these moves in part have the same reason, it all becomes obvious, and that reason is money. The SEC move is going to net Texas and Oklahoma upwards of 20 to 30 million more than what they'd be getting in the Big 12, and this is a similar figure for the California schools, as the Big 10 generates around 200 to 300 million more in revenue, meaning a bigger payday for all these schools involved. Reasons like these are not only why it's so lucrative for big market schools to do this though, but smaller mid-major schools as well. With the Pac-12 needing new members, the door is suddenly open for a team to make the leap into a Power 5 conference. Currently, the two teams reporters seem to be more confident on is San Diego State, who's currently in the middle of a Final Four run, and Southern Methodist University, as these two schools could bring a different dimension to the Pac-12 and try and staunch the bleeding with their biggest moneymakers gone. But this also poses a new dimension and a new question for tournament seeding as well, as UCLA and USC were one of the stronger teams in their conference, and now that they're gone, it could possibly open up the door for another team to start dominating. And I actually think this sentiment is the same for the rest of these conferences. Let me explain to you why. Now, the Big 12 is one of the strongest basketball conferences, with 7 teams making the NCAA tournament just this season. And now they have 2 more 20 teams joining their ranks. Obviously, we don't know how these two powerhouses will fare in this new region, with a lot stronger competition than they're used to in the Pac-12, but I'd still be confident in UCLA making the tourney, and maybe so in USC, but I'm sure they'd still probably get in. But the same goes for Oklahoma and Texas, but a little bit different. While the Sooners were the worst in their conference, the Longhorns were arguably the best, winning the Big 12 and nearly beating Miami for a spot in the Final Four. They'll be joining a loaded SEC where I'm sure Texas will still dominate and potentially even still be the top seed, but for the Sooners it might be more sink or swim. And the same thing is for the Pac-12. With some of its stronger teams leaving, it opens up a spot for a new top dog, with Arizona very likely taking that card. I could see Arizona State, Oregon, and possibly Stanford staking a claim at a top 4, but like I said, these changes will pose interesting questions for seeding as well. Because with stronger conference opponents, it means that you don't have to win 25 plus games to get in on the tourney. Just look at Virginia, who went 19-15 but still got a 9 seed because of the conference they were in. This actually might work in Oklahoma's favor, like I said before, as they might not have to win as many games as they did in the Big 12, and could possibly even lead to them having a bounce-back season and getting back to the tournament next year. But this also poses a very interesting question in terms of how it'll work in the opposite sense. With stronger opponents coming into these conferences, we might see teams that usually make it be left off the bout to the big dance because of how much competition they have and how strong of opponents they have in their conference. But obviously this is all speculation. We don't really know how these conferences will sort of do, or even what more realignments are in store. There's always reports of teams like Houston, Cincinnati, even other teams like Notre Dame moving into these conferences. So we honestly just have to wait and see, but I can tell you this next season in NCAA basketball is going to be very, very interesting. So what do you guys think about not just the Pac-12 realignment, but the other conferences as well? I think the landscape of college basketball is changing in a very interesting way, and we'll just have to wait and see how it pans out. Thank y'all for watching the video. If you like the content, feel free to drop a comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace!